and Thorn on the screen sharing.
Yep. Nope. Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
All right.
Fuck. No.
And I'm sure the first word heard out on the live stream is fuck.
Yeah, that's
we're
a good
live,
start.
so.
That's a good start. Okay, mute your video.
And I'm sure the first word heard out on the live stream is fuck.
Off to a great start. Yeah, mute that.
Yeah.
All right, so
And I'm sure the first word heard out on the live stream.
you gotta mute
It's
that.
just going to be an eternal loop now.
Yeah, if we let that go, it literally would go on forever and ever. Okay, Thorn, introduce the show.
Okay. All right. Welcome everybody to To Be Determined, a show in which we practice free speech. The topic today, so that we can actually hopefully not go on a tangent, is going to be taking the piss out of CNN because the media is bullshit, as it says in the title.
Indeed, and with us today are Buttercup. Go ahead.
Hello. Oh, that's
Okay,
tell me.
Yeah, okay. But Buttercup makes
How are you
videos
introduced
in
to
his own way.
Buttercup?
I make shitty YouTube videos where I talk about stupid things that amuse me or piss me off. And I assume that the link to my Twitter will be somewhere in the description, I'm guessing. And you can find my YouTube channel through that if you want.
There's a surcharge for that, but yeah, we'll see what we can do.
I knew it. That's why I didn't want my channel in the description.
And Marty, who the hell are you?
And I am Martius Felius. I am a YouTuber who makes videos primarily concerning free speech. I love free speech. I fap to free speech. I also fap in streams, so there is about a 95% chance I will be fapping at some point today.
He's
Lovely.
also Captain Can I Get a Link?
Yes, I am known for popping into random streams and asking for a link.
That's funny. Okay, well,
I can't give you too much crap, though, because I did the same.
very, very glad to have you guys joining us for our inaugural To Be Determined podcast. We're going to be doing this every Sunday, and as we go along, we're going to be adding the bells and whistles, and making it cool.
Bells and whistles to follow.
Indeed. So this first one, we want to talk about CNN because CNN has really been kind of pooping themselves of late. And I was talking to Thorn the other day, and I was mentioning that while we're really being clued in lately, this has been going on for a much longer time. Because I remember when I was a kid, CNN got in shit for faking some footage from Saudi Arabia, and I fished around on the internet and came up with it. And we decided that our inaugural To Be Determined podcast should be about CNN, and we should play some videos and talk it over with some cool people about how fucked up CNN has become. As representative of the fake news media, all media outlets right now are pretty fake newsy, but CNN I think really takes the cake.
They think we're stupid.
Yes.
Yes. So do you want me to just go with Saudi Arabia first?
No, go with the very first link, the one that is not numbered. This is the one with the Ukraine. So if you guys remember when Crimea was invaded by Russia, Russia was claiming that Crimea was traditionally a territory. Well, CNN decided to run a story while this was happening that said American ships were going into the Baltic Sea to go invade or prevent Russia from taking Crimea. But the dumb shits didn't realize is that while they were filming their green screen, they put a prop in the way. So the camera's going to pan. Yeah, it's going to pan from right to left, and when it goes back right, magically there's a prop in the shot that wasn't there before, which totally proves it's a bullshit green screen. So watch and let's discuss. So remember, it starts at like 15 seconds in, I think.
Yep. It's like
that the U.S. would step up joint air patrols over the Baltic Peninsula. That's a clear sign of support to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland, 4 former Soviet satellite states, all very
Can anyone see that? It looks
Nope, I
frozen on
can't
my
see that.
screen.
Oh.
What the dickens? Yeah, it didn't update, Thorn.
It didn't? Okay.
No, it did not play the video. It kept it on the previous screen. Let's try that again. Technical difficulties. Working
Sorry.
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
That's what your first stream is for.
through. Right? Yeah, that's what I told her. I said, let's not even stress doing the OBS stuff yet, because this is going to be a clusterfuck anyway. There we go. There we go.
Earlier this week announcing that the U.S. would step up joint air patrols over the Baltic Peninsula. That's a clear sign of support to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland, four former Soviet satellite states, all very confident.
Where'd that come from?
It's a freaking mic stand.
Yeah, it looks like a mic boom.
Yeah.
What do you think, Marty? You think that's green screen?
Can you go back and freeze frame it on the boom mic?
Yeah, sure. It's at 30. I think it's right at 30 seconds.
Soviet satellite states, all.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
What the shit is this?
Yeah, and remember, that wasn't there a second ago when they panned left.
Hello,
So it's
CJ.
not like it's a piece of the ship. You know what I mean? If he's on a ship. Because remember, the little guy you see down the lower left looks like he's on the bow of a ship. And the microphone is so good, there's no wind noise.
Excuse me, CNN. I think your boom is in the shot.
Yeah, exactly. And this was in 96, 97? When was that?
Yeah, and then the footage I think was from even earlier. It was from I think the late '80s in the Bosphorus
Yes.
Strait.
Yes, it was old footage as well.
Because somebody went back and actually found the old footage. That they freaking aired the old footage and thought no one would notice.
They're so stupid. Okay, so go ahead and play number 1. That's the news.
No.
That's the compilation. So I'll tell you to go to times on this one.
All right, 2 secs.
No
Oh,
problem.
I'm fucking it up already.
Right.
Woo.
Filter. So you're going to want to go to 310. So this is, if you guys recall, when the Podesta emails were leaked via WikiLeaks, CNN made kind of a bonehead move, and Chris Cuomo, I'm pretty sure it was Chris Cuomo, comes out, and you'll see him in this clip. He basically says it's illegal to possess the hacked emails. But let's play the clip, and then I got a question for you guys on that. As soon as Thorn is ready.
So it's 310, right?
Yep, exactamundo.
Absolutely. Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us. And in full disclosure, let's take a look at what is in there and what it means. Joining us now, Steve. Number 2.
Okay, go ahead and pause it. Yeah, you couldn't. The video didn't work again, but at least we got the audio. And so you hear him saying how it's illegal for normal people to possess those the quote unquote hacked emails or stolen emails. Do you think that he has anything resembling a point regarding special access for the media?
Nope.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Why is that?
Well, even though they were hacked, they are released to the public, and we has a right to know. There is no special exemption for the media. Like, no, the media is an extension, is a part of the public, and the public all has the same rights. For them to believe that they are somehow above, or that we are somehow beneath their privileges is a laughing fucking joke. I mean, it's hilarious. I've been laughing at that clip since it first came out.
Now, what about the fact that certain press outlets get direct access to the highest echelons of power, like the press briefing corps, or what are they called, the press corps? Wouldn't that be an example of the press getting special access?
Well, that's a little different. I mean, people can still just join that. I mean, people can still be a part of that. It's not like they have a monopoly on news, as they are claiming that they have in this video. That's just an organization that groups the media into a specific region, so they can go here, 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 rather than going to each individual outlet and dulling out those juicy bits.
Buttercup?
Yeah, Buttercup, what do you think?
I think that it's kind of repugnant for somebody in the media to say that they deserve exclusive and special access to certain things, because if there's one thing that we notice, it's that people twist. Like, there's one thing we know, and that's people will twist anything that they want to twist to meet their narrative, rather than just delivering the facts as it is. So it's like personal editing almost. Like, you're going to spin this thing the way that you want it to spin.
Do you think all quote-unquote news organizations are guilty of spin or
Yes.
at least bias?
I think
Oh,
everybody has a
100%?
bias. I think everyone has an agenda. And I think that, you know, we're humans. So you do it either purposely or subconsciously. And there's no way to really get 100% unbiased information.
No, and that's why it's important to fact check literally everything that comes across your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
Also, I
that
think
that's sorry, Thorne, go ahead.
I also think like this clip to me was basically CNN saying, yes, we're absolutely propaganda.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're lying to you.
Do you think that this is a modern phenomenon? Or if this is
No.
something like back, the bias, I mean. So you think back in the day of like Walter Cronkite or even before then, you think there was bias inherent in reporting back in the golden era of journalism?
There's
Absolutely.
been bias since the Bible was printed.
Well, that's true.
We're humans.
Do you
We
think we
spin
look
things-
back? Sorry.
No,
Go
that's
ahead,
okay.
Buttercup. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, think about it. Like, they've omitted books of the Bible that they wrote. They've changed it, edited it, rearranged it, updated it. You know, we don't know. I mean, this goes back as far as humanity goes back.
I mean,
You know, even when you were just gossiping with your friends around the fire when you were a caveman, you know, you would spin the truth. You would edit the story so that it sounds better, more
Yeah.
compelling, more convincing, more entertaining.
Yeah.
It's just what we do as people.
because I'm me, I have an example from Chicago, because of course I do. After the Great Chicago Fire, you know the whole thing of Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking over the lantern started the Great Chicago Fire?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's not what she said happened. That came out of a newspaper called The Republic, which was an extremely right-wing newspaper at the time. And they basically spinned her story of someone robbing her barn to make it look like the Irish were fucking incompetent. Because that was the narrative back then. Fuck the Irish.
Right. That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So-
So do you think that we look back with whimsy on our nostalgia when it comes to like Walter Cronkite, and because he's a name that's kind of bantered around whenever you talk about honest journalism. For some reason, he always comes to the fore. But with your examples, both of you have referenced it seems probably pretty likely that even he wasn't the neutral arbiter of truth that we may look back and see him as.
I think in the case of guys like Walter Cronkite, yes, he probably had his own bias, but I think he was genuinely trying to stay neutral, even if he didn't like totally succeed all the time. Like, there's always going to be people who actually try to stay neutral on the subject.
I'm also sure that some of it is nostalgia, like looking back on the past with rose-tinted glasses, not wanting to see kind of for what it really was. Because, I mean, in this modern day, it's a lot easier for us to get a lot of information that we wouldn't have had access to. So it comes down to, people like Walter Cronkite, they seemed trustworthy, they seemed like, honest, and that's what you wanted in a news person, because even if they're spinning their own agenda, like, how are you going to know? How are you going to know? You're not going to know because you don't have access to the same information back then that we have now. It's harder to fact check a certain thing like that.
Yeah, the further you
In my
go,
opinion.
the less information is there.
Yeah, do you think being caught in a lie gives your opposition more credibility by default?
Yeah, absolutely. Whether or not that credibility is justified, it still lends them credibility because, quote, well, actually, not necessarily a quote. This is a paraphrase, but I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry, I need more coffee.
No worries, no worries, no worries.
But
I have no coffee.
oh, I'm so sorry. But the idea being that if you are on the, the right side, the more just side, the more virtuous side, why would you need to lie? Why on earth would you need to lie? I mean, lying, of course, creates distrust, but it also says, why do they have to lie? What are they hiding from me in the grander scheme?
Interesting. Okay, Thorn, play 348.
Yep. I got it queued up. Can you see this? Nope. My bad.
Oh, all I see is the fact that you got dressed up for this.
I get dressed up all the time. This is not dressed up. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
there you go. Jerk.
This is not dressed up for me.
So deciding. Well, so deciding. We couldn't help her any more than we have. I mean, she's got just a free ride so far from the media. We're the biggest ones promoting her campaign, so it better happen.
Look, Maria says that Mr.
All right, pause that. Pause that.
We're
Okay.
the biggest ones promoting her campaign.
Yeah, exactly. That was in reference to Hillary Clinton running for the office of president. Now we hear that and we cringe because in retrospect we look back and we go, okay, obviously they handed her the primary. They tried to hand her the general. However, The Late Show has a history of telling candidates you should run. Is it acceptable for a media outlet to encourage a candidate to run? I'm not talking about, because he doesn't specifically say that they are like going to help her candidacy. Remember, this is before that happened. But he's talking about in this clip promoting her running, saying you should run. We think you'll win. Get in the race. Is it unacceptable for a news supposedly outlet to do the same thing that The Late Show has a history of doing? Is there a distinction, is what I'm saying, to encourage someone to run for a public office?
Nope. Like,
So you think it's okay?
yeah, I think it's absolutely okay. I mean, the unethical, biased, hiding effects and outright lying, that's a different story. But saying, hey, you should run, I think you'd be good for the job, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, that...
Yeah, but doesn't it, I mean, obviously you're endorsing the candidate because they fit with what your views are. So isn't that saying, like, yeah, you should definitely win because you're going to be an awesome mouthpiece for what we believe in?
Well, to be honest, isn't that just what a politician is? A mouthpiece for whatever their supporters want? Even if you're looking at it in the purest democratic form,
Well,
isn't a politician just a mouthpiece for their constituency, for their voters?
yeah, but shouldn't we want to hold our news organizations to a higher standard than just picking out our next political candidate? Like, shouldn't we want them to be unbiased as possible? Shouldn't we want them to deliver information from both sides? Like,
So you're suggesting that it's encouraging is akin to endorsing their platform, i.e. encouraging them to run for office is basically the same thing as endorsing what they stand for because you want them in the race / to win the race.
I mean, I can tell you this much. Like, I'm not going to encourage a person to do something if I don't think that they serve a purpose.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You didn't see CNN encouraging Donald Trump to run.
Nope.
Didn't fit the narrative.
But I did see John Oliver encouraging Trump to run, which is still to this day, like, even though I'm not too happy with the way Trump has performed. That is still one of my favorite clips of all time. Yes, do it, run. And then, here he is. 2016 was the absolute worst.
Well,
no kidding.
I don't like John Oliver on a personal level, sorry. But
okay. Is in a related question. At what point does the media stop being news and start being propaganda to you guys?
that's a good point. Or, I mean, that's a very good question. I don't think there really is a line. Like, depending on what you're reporting, you could be news or propaganda. I mean, for instance, let's say, I don't know, let's say I don't like John Smith, and John Smith has done something legitimately bad. I'm going to jump on that. Like, I'm still reporting news, but I'm also doing it because I don't like John Smith, because fuck that guy.
So does that kind of speak to the fact that all humans, no matter how hard we try, kind of have inherent biases, and we kind of need to be aware of them?
Yes, it's absolutely a part of the human condition. You know, being human is a condition. So just we all have our biases.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Which is why I think it's so important that news organizations have representatives from both sides. Like, if we're going to be biased, then we at least need to represent biases from both sides.
I remember Fox News tried that, and they just ended up shouting down.
Fox News is the CNN of the right.
Oh, yes. Yes. This is a foregone conclusion at this point.
Yeah. Even like
but you know what's it's sad because Fox News used to be a joke, but now, I mean, Jesus, the facts are on their side, which makes me very sad.
Yeah. Sometimes the propaganda lines up with reality, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, okay, so let me ask you this question. Thorn, side chat, next video.
Yeah.
Number 3, 1 minute in. Okay. Let me ask you this. Is there, so we've established that everyone obviously has bias, and we do definitely look back. I have to agree with the idea that we do look back with a certain level of nostalgia and kind of overlook biases that may and most likely did crop up. However, is there a difference between bias and newstainment? I assume you both are old enough to remember the formation of that term, newstainment, when network news went from being boring talking heads, you know, today this happened and that happened in sports, to exciting, you know, blood and guts, you know, how it became more entertainment than just pure news. Yes, exactly. Is there a difference between converting news to newstainment and exercising a bias? What I mean to say is it one thing to have an opinion on a subject and another to dress up and play a part, as opposed to just reporting on the facts, thereby influencing opinion, even if you may not be specifically utilizing a bias? Seems like a long question.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like sensationalism and having a bias. And when you get like straight down to it, newstainment or whatever is essentially a form of sensationalism. It's like, how do we make this story bigger, more exciting, more boom in your face? How do we capture the people who want to watch explosions? You know?
How do we capture the Jerry Springer crowd? Because it kind of happens in talk shows too.
Oh my God, Jerry Springer.
Yeah. Clickbait
Yeah.
before clicks existed.
Yes,
Yeah.
clickbaits before the internet.
Thorn,
I'm
go ahead.
pregnant with a Chinese baby, yeah.
Yes.
Jesus. The results are in. You are not the father. Thorn, go ahead and play number 3, 1 minute in.
Yep.
And let's make sure the video works on this one, because the video on this, it's 28 seconds or so, this first chunk.
And remind me sometime.
Sticking out behind it. Now, when you detect,
I'm an idiot. Hang on.
That's okay.
You're good.
What were you saying, Butter?
I was gonna say, remind me sometime to tell you about my Jerry Springer story.
Me too.
If it begins with this one time when I was on Jerry Springer, yeah, that's not really a story. I think I would.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
I have a friend who was on
Okay,
Jerry.
so I figured out this is the only way I can play it, because if I go full screen, you guys can't see it. So
That's all right. Go for it.
Now, when the missile is launched, the first thing you look for is the plume.
Now look in the background.
Now, when you detect this,
See that blue?
it's been launched.
see the edge,
Thank you.
Graffiti on it? Yeah, show me graffiti.
right along here.
Larry King Show.
Uh-huh.
No, so what the fuck is this anyway?
It's a. He's just demonstrating what a scud looks like. All right, now he's just horsing around. Now this is in 1991. Now pay attention to what's behind it. See how there's like
Maybe we could
there's
short
a plant and the wind is blowing in. There's some kind of blue shit going on.
geopolitics dynamic.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see that? Pause it right there. Pause it right there. Did you see that when they panned back how the one dude was sitting in a chair? It was obviously inside of a studio, right? I mean, there was no question that was inside of a studio. Thorn,
Yep.
go to 315. So this goes to what I was saying is in 1991, the United States went to war with Iraq over Kuwait. They were supposedly in Saudi Arabia during this news broadcast. And so they may have been in Saudi Arabia, but you'll see at the next clip she's going to show is the actual television broadcast. And you'll see there's a subtle difference.
Just a bit.
Couple of explosions, what may have been an outgoing Patriot ground-to-air missile, some reported airbursts that may have been an intercept of an incoming Scud missile.
All right, rewind that back to 315.
That the air raid
I want to show you not 215, you can't get 315. Okay, so did you see the subtle differences in the background there? How it looked more realistic? Now watch. All right, so watch in the lower right corner. See where it says CNN Live? Look right near there and watch what you'll see. Go ahead and play it, Thorn.
of explosions, what may have been an outgoing Patriot ground-to-air missile, some reported airbursts that may have been an intercept of an incoming Scud missile. We're really not sure. All we know is that the air raid sirens have...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was painful.
What may have been an outgoing Patriot ground-to-air missile.
You see, there's
Did you see that? Did you see that? What that was, for those keeping score at home, that was a cameraman pointing a camera up to the sky as though taking pictures. Thorn, go ahead and fast forward to 650. Now, the reason why he was doing that, and the next clip that Thorn's going to play is going to show, they're going to talk about how there was a rocket that was fired over their heads. And they're showing in that shot that the photographer was trying to take pictures of this supposed rocket that went over their head. Now, remember, they're inside of a studio. When they panned back earlier and you saw the guy sitting on the lawn chair, they're indoors, inside of a studio. Go ahead and play it.
What did you see? Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked very almost straight at all.
You can see blue
vapor trail coming from
Yeah.
my left.
And you hear that fake siren?
Might have been an explosion in the cloud.
I just
That
noticed
is grating.
the spots along the bottom.
Now look, he fakes like there's an attack. He throws on his mask. And for the next 3 minutes, they spend explaining that rocket propellants emit smells, and the guy with the gas mask, he thought he smelled something, thought he felt lightheaded, and so he panicked and called for gas, thereby corroborating the old man's story that a rocket went overhead. They spent 3 full minutes talking about that. Remember, they're inside of a studio this whole time. They are bullshitting from minute 0 during this whole video. Now, the question is, because this was during the 1991 Gulf War that was really happening, and there was shit like this going down in the Gulf. If they are telling the truth about the story, which let's assume that they are, is it relevant that they're lying about the presentation? I.e., if they're making it appear as though they're on the streets of Riyadh where shit is actually going down, even though they're not, as long as they're being honest about what's actually happening, does it matter that they're lying how they're presenting it to us, as in this CNN clip?
Yeah, absolutely, it matters.
Why?
Why? Because they are supposed to be legitimate journalists. The idea being truth in advertising, you know, truth in reporting, truth in, you know, they're supposed to have a certain level of ethics in their profession. Standing here going, oh my God, this is the end of the world, I'm going to die in a studio, is taking away from the actual horror that's going on in the entire Gulf. I mean, it's fucking bullshit. Like, if you don't want to go to the Gulf and report on this because you fear you may die, okay, I can't hate you for that. But lying is taking away from the real legitimate issues that are happening.
Yeah, like, be honest about that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so to what level? Thorn load number 2. What I mean by that is how is using a green screen, as Anderson Green Screen Cooper is known to do, is that the same as what we just witnessed in that 1991 footage? What I mean to say is pretending to be on a location that you are not, interviewing someone who may or may not have actually been involved, is that the same as the elaborate setup that we saw in that 1991 clip? In your mind?
Yeah, it's the exact same. I mean, if you can report from a studio, if you don't want to go there and put your life on the line, that is fine. I won't hate you for that, but to put on a show that you are putting your life on the line to sensationalize a story that is already pretty horrible and sensational on its own is outright dishonest and something that should be despised by a human being. I mean, but you know, I've always had a fair amount of respect for people who will go over there and put their life on the line. So
yeah, me too. It's like, you go over there, you put your life on the line, even if you have a little bit of a bias, I'm still going to respect you for that.
Yeah,
that's fair. So basically it would be the level of sacrifice with which someone is willing to endure buys them credibility, versus the green screen Anderson Cooper basically loses him credibility. Is that a fair assessment?
Definitely going to give like credibility to somebody who's actually being shot at,
even if they lie through their teeth.
Well, no, I mean, I'm still going to fact check the data, but right. I'm more likely to believe. I mean, somebody's more. It gives more credibility if you're trying to make some kind of point. Because, I mean, you're
right,
actually willing to go balls to the wall to actually back up your point. Granted, you should still fact check everything now.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
So do you think that CNN's... Oh, go ahead and play the next clip, and I'll ask my question afterwards, because that's a great lead-in to that question.
Disappearing nose time.
Yes, indeed.
It is disappearing nose time.
Play the whole thing. Let's just watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
Should not be out in the general public.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Blatant green screen.
Anderson, where your nose go? Oh my gosh. So anyway, my question is, do you think that Anderson Green Screen Cooper always puts himself on location, and that's in air quotes, to buy street cred?
absolutely.
And that's pretty shitty.
Yeah.
That's man, that is a low bar in journalism. Do you think that CNN is setting the standard for other media outlets? Because if I can call your memory to Dan Rather and NBC and their false reporting of George Bush's military record, and don't get me wrong, George Bush was a fucking potato who never should have won the election, but them fake newsing about his military record didn't really hinder him. In fact, it helped him. And then there's Brian Williams of MSNBC, you know, his whole thing of being in a helicopter that got shot down and he like rescued a bunch of people. I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating, but you know, same general principle. He's a douchebag. Should these organizations be censored because of the behavior of these lying douchebags?
No.
Say again, Marty.
No.
All I caught was a grunt. No?
No, never. I do think their bullshit should be called out. I do think that people should say, hey, look at these jokers and the shitty shit that they're doing. However, I am a free speech absolutist. Like, I don't like it, but I do think that people should be free to lie.
Yeah, me too.
Should they lose their press credentials in the White House? Or as far as
yeah,
no, totally.
No, yeah.
So if
taking away their voice is wrong, punishing them for lying, that's a different story.
Now, who gets to be the arbiter of truth, though?
Well, I think you're misusing arbiter of truth. Who gets to be the arbiter of punishment?
No. Arbiter of truth. Who decides that CNN is being dishonest? Because if you ask CNN will tell you that they are being honest and that they have these unnamed sources that can corroborate it, but you know they're unnamed. Blah, blah. Obviously, that's dubious beyond all belief. But again, well, you know, if you punish, you better make sure you're punishing the right people. Who gets to decide that?
The same person who gets to decide it in all cases, a court of law.
Okay, so you think CNN should be sued?
I think CNN should be brought up for review.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Not like
maybe a court of law was
not a criminal court.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. Yes. Brought up for review, I think, is a great way of putting that. Have the FCC take a look at their behavior and see if they're in line with the requirements, you know, to be considered a news outlet, which obviously is a requirement to be a member of the White House Press Corps. Yes, is that a fair extrapolation?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I completely.
I'm not big on. Yeah, I'm not big on, you know, the government doing anything other than, you know, police, fire, and various necessities of life. But when it comes down to making sure people aren't actively misleading the public under the guise of being the most ethical news outlet ever, maybe a little bit of a review, maybe a hearing or two. I don't want their voices taken away, but I would like some light shown on the fact that they are misusing their voices.
Mm-hmm. I think, and also it kind of shows the fact that they get the press passes taken away for the White House basically kind of shows that we don't consider this journalism anymore. This is now entertainment. And entertainers don't get a free pass to the White House unless they're president. I had to.
Yeah, no.
So what bar would you set? Because CNN recently retracted a single story, but other than that one story, I know of no other cases that they've retracted any stories. And we look at these screens and we laugh at them, and we say that's very unethical, that's very immoral. But it's not in violation of the FCC rules as long as they're reporting the story truthfully, quote unquote. As long as they're not purposefully misleading. You know what I mean? That kind of goes to my point about CNN thinking that they're not fake news.
Look, they have outright lied on numerous occasions. They have to know they're fake news. But this has got to be a situation where they're saying to themselves, all right, so we're lying, but we're doing it to stop this evil man. I honestly believe that in their minds, they believe that the ends justify the means.
I hate that. It's like, no. I know this is the wrong thing, but it's the wrong thing for the right reason because our reason is the right reason.
Yeah, I despise that thinking.
It's the same logic people use like ban games. It's the same freaking logic, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I'm
sorry. I went out on my.
No, it's totally okay. I'm going to give you a link. The Van Jones scandal. If you're familiar with Project Veritas and them going undercover and recording Van Jones basically saying the Russia investigation is bullshit. Do you think, go ahead and play the link for me. Go to 7 seconds in. Anyway, let's just, I'll let her run this. For those that haven't seen it, I assume most people have seen it because it's kind of big news. But we'll play this little clippy to do, and then I'll ask a question regarding it.
All right. Loading.
You may fire when you're ready.
All
It's
right.
a trap. Traps are
I'm
gay,
a
by the way.
fire.
That's
I'm
our
on
game.
record.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. They're also illegal, by the way. I did a video called "Makeup is Rape." You should check it out. It's pretty funny because it's very true. All right. 7 seconds in. What the dickens?
Hold on.
Look at that Mac.
All right, so so if you want to, if you have your stream open so you can watch the chat, you can pop out the chat and then close the stream. Just click the 3 buttons in the top right corner of the chat, and there should be an option for popping out the chat.
Oh, that's clever. That's
Yay.
brilliant.
Okay, good.
That's brilliant. Good. Now I don't have that open. Oh wait, did I kill? No, the chat's still there. That's how they put the chat on their videos.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Smart. All right, let's play this.
Why won't it play? What happened to sound? Is there sound?
There should
From my
be
end. Oh, there we
There you
go.
go.
Oh, it's really quiet. Hang on. I didn't realize it was this quiet. Let me start that over again.
Oh,
Is
it's okay. It's just let her go.
We met in Palm Springs a few years back. You good? Yeah. How you been? What are you doing? What do you think's gonna happen this week with the whole Russia thing? Nothing except the big nothing. Really? You don't think that?
Now it looked to me like he was about to say, go ahead and stop it. He was about to say, yeah, there's nothing there you can do anything with, which would be mirroring a statement made earlier in the week by a low-level CNN executive that Project Veritas also got on record to say that Russia was bullshit. And that guy legit said that it was bullshit. Pretty much everyone here thinks it's bullshit. There's nothing you can do right now. We don't have any evidence right now. And it seems like they're more in kind of a waiting game. But do you think that Van Jones making that statement and being recorded making that statement is a smoking gun on behalf of the FCC, whether or not the CNN is purposefully misleading the public? If their guy that's out front and center saying Russia, 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 behind the scenes is saying Russia is bullshit, is that evidence of misleading? Purposefully misleading? Butter?
Yeah, I
Marty?
think so. It kind of shows that they're doing it just because they want to get views, or they want to put, or in this case, that they want to push an agenda. And I think that's kind of the line that where it crosses from media into propaganda as well. You're no
Well,
longer.
now that's the question. And now the guy, the low-level executive that I was referring to earlier, also was recorded saying that the reason why they're pushing Russia 24/7 is for ratings, and that CNN's ratings are through the roof. Now the question then becomes, if they are spitting out false news or fake news for the ratings and not to push a political agenda per se, could it be considered propaganda versus newstainment?
That's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
Buttercup and Marty.
I really don't want to go on record as confirming nor denying any of that, because I mean, it's a very, very intricate issue. The thing is that if they want ratings, they have every right to try and get ratings in any way they want. This is why, we have, newstainment. But to absolutely push a story you believe to be bullshit as a ratings grab is a very, very slippery slope. Because, I can talk about, flat Earth all day. I don't believe flat Earth. I don't, particularly care that much about flat Earth. But if it's getting me views, I would probably I wouldn't keep talking about it, but somebody who cares about views would keep talking about it. I couldn't hate on them for that.
Well, I feel like, you're right. They do have every right to do whatever they want to do for ratings. But after a certain point, stop calling yourself a fair and unbiased news channel.
Mm-hmm.
After a certain point, you become essentially a sitcom. I mean, a TV show and not the news. So if you're just doing things strictly for ratings, do things strictly for ratings. Be freaking the Colbert Report. I mean,
Well, if we,
but don't call yourself journalists. Don't call yourself news people. Like,
yeah,
there's a line there, and when all you're doing is the most sensationalist crap for ratings, you cease to be informative any longer.
Yeah, but then again, people are coming to them for this Russia story because they believe that they are honest news, that they believe that they are legitimate news.
what a great point. And that kind of leads me to another question: is there a correlation or a causation? Meaning, do the people who believe CNN already think Trump is the devil and CNN just confirms it for them, or is CNN actually swaying hearts and minds?
It's probably a little of both. I mean,
yeah. I mean, definitely.
Do you think the pendulum swings in any particular direction, or do you think it's smack dab in the middle, 50-50?
I think it's more confirmation bias because I know a lot of mega people who just refuse to acknowledge that CNN exists. So it's probably more so confirmation bias, but there is, of course, there is the people who are going to CNN to get their news, and they're saying, you know what, maybe he is the devil.
Interesting.
I mean,
so
every president is the Antichrist. Confirmed. Every president.
Yeah, that's true. Do you remember how crazy? Well, this whole thing with Russia. Oh, Buttercup, I'm sorry, you were making a point.
Oh, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Go on.
I was going to say Trump got a lot of heat for the whole birther thing, and yet I see parallels between the Russia witch hunt and the birther stuff.
Yes.
Equal amount of evidence, equal amount of fervor.
That's part of what red pilled me, was because I was starting to see like this frigging parallel, and it's like, you're acting exactly like them. Exactly like them. So I said, like, CNN became Fox News, only for the left. I watched that. Yeah.
How long ago do you think the DNC and CNN made their pact?
90s?
You think so? The first Clinton?
Yeah. First Clinton administration. I think it made them a lot of money.
Now, what would you base that on?
Well, the prevalence of fake news when it comes to like war coverage, and also just the I was doing a little research on my own. Oh my God, let me find it, because I found some numbers on around the first Clinton administration. Over almost half of CNN's coverage during election of Republican candidates was, I think it was like 46% was negative, 14% was positive, and the rest was neutral. And that started happening during the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was founded by Ted Turner, who, if my memory serves, was a Democrat donor. He was a well-known Democrat donor. I didn't know Ted Turner started CNN. It's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Ted Turner made a lot of his money off of that whole cable market back. The reason he became so fucking rich was because of he cornered the market on cable TV. Things like CNN, TBS, later TNT, and then all of his money. He was a fucking genius. He saw the way TV was going, and where a lot of people were saying, paying for TV when they can just get it over the air? These guys are stupid. Turner went, suckers, and became a ridiculously rich billionaire because of it.
Do you see the internet going the same way? Because with YouTube doing the censorship, you've got the Mug Club now. Hard Bastard is doing a Hard News Network, which has its own videos, etc., its own video hosting site, etc. I see a lot of these YouTube personalities kind of branching off onto their own thing to get away from the control. But along with that, typically comes a monthly fee. Now, if we lose net neutrality, there may be additional costs. I mean, do you see the internet becoming like cable television was, once whether regular TV started falling out of favor?
I do definitely see the internet taking over from TV, and where YouTube drops the ball, other sites will pick it up. Given it's going to be an uphill fight, it really is, because YouTube is this massive entity. But as time goes on, we will see other sites picking up steam.
Do you think that YouTube will be dethroned at some point?
Oh, if they keep doing what they're doing, hell yeah, they will. But
yeah, you really think that the social justice cancer really does damage the market?
Oh yeah, look at Marvel and DC. They had an army of loyal fans, and when they switched over to social justice content, not only were the social justice-y people like, this sucks, but like the hardcore fans were like, this really fucking sucks. And it was a downhill spiral from there, and they eventually had to say, yeah, we're going to have to stop doing this social justice stuff.
Do you think CNN and the fake news outlets like CNN, for example, the Young Turks, they're a great example. Do you think that they're continuing to push these fake news stories, especially when so many of them have a social justice warrior spin on them? Do you think they're somewhat culpable in the culture war that we've kind of found ourselves in, as far as, versus those who are anti-free speech? Do you think CNN has any responsibility to bear for Antifa and their ilk? And CNN generally speaking, like mainstream media, fake news type shit.
I don't like to say that people are responsible for the actions of others. I do think they have fanned the flames, but truth be told, I've never actually bought into the whole, oh, they caused this, that they caused this narrative that seems to go around a lot.
How far back do you think CNN was faking news?
That's a question I can't answer, because I'm sure it was long before I started watching the news.
Because CNN apparently 1980. Yeah, see, that was my question. Do you think they came out of the gate because cable news was kind of, or cable television in 1980 was kind of a different animal than what we would consider it, 10, 15 years later. Do you think that when it came out, that Ted Turner looked at the news, cable news, as purely newstainment, like it should be? I don't want to say fake, but you understand what I'm trying to get to? That he went, regular news is on regular TV because government said when they got their licenses that they had to do that. As a cable station, we don't have to follow the same rules, but let's tap into that market, and then let's make it the grand circus. Do you think that it's been fake since the beginning is kind of the gist of my long fucking winded question?
I think I think all news started off as legitimate. Started off as somebody set out and said, you know what, I'm gonna report the news, and actually succeeded in what they wanted to do. But then I am going to blame it on their own biases. Their own biases came into play and sort of screwed it up for the rest of them. Because you have to understand that to get anywhere in any field, you have to play the game. And I think that they played the game a little too well and became just as biased as we see them today.
and then you throw in a bunch of folks who are just in it for the money, and you get CNN and Fox News.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Fox News, I feel like, was created to be an editorial channel and wasn't meant to be. I mean, they say fair and balanced, but come on, that's a fucking joke. Everybody, I mean, it's clear from the beginning.
They literally won a lawsuit to essentially let them be newstainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were never meant to be straight news. Never.
Exactly.
They've been that particular outlet has been newstainment from the beginning. I'm not so sure about the others, but you know. Well,
but see, and I make the argument that perhaps CNN was the same, because when you consider that 91 footage that I was playing earlier is only 11 years after they were founded as a company, and yet they looked pretty damn advanced. So either they got real good real fast, or they had 11 years to perfect the art of bullshit. I mean, they had a set with blue screen in 1991. The internet didn't even exist then, and yet they're doing high level. They do holographic shit now on CNN. I mean, they are high level fake news. Their technical expertise is out of this world. It's a shame that it's being put to use for evil.
Tinfoil hattery. But yeah, it's very possible that they may have been fake from the beginning, because I mean, why else would you have a blue screen? I'm surprised they actually weren't using it in that one.
Well, they were, but what that was the raw footage, and then in the studio they put the shit over top of the green screen, and later on in that video that we were playing, they actually show the full edited, and it looks like the outside of some Arabic building. And I mean, they got the fake sirens in there. You can hear people yelling in the background. It sounds like a fucking plane goes by at one point. You got the fake photographer. I mean, this was a TV made for TV movie. They really put in a lot of effort, and I'm saying that they had 11 years to perfect that art. I think CNN was made just like Fox News to put out an editorial and pretend it's news.
Buttercup sent me another little piece of fake news. This is, are you guys familiar with the white helmets?
No, sir. Ma'am.
So, in Syria, there's a group called the White Helmets that are apparently, they're like, they build them as humanitarians and everything, and it's recently come out that they've been faking a lot of their pictures. Have you ever seen the picture of the little boy in Syria in the ambulance?
Yeah.
Pictures, it's the same kid over and over and over again. And Buttercups, your friend found a video of raw footage from them.
Yep, that's RPR. He's in the chat, or was a minute ago anyway. And he sent that along. So
fun fact: the White Hats, this group that is questionably linked to terrorist organizations, tangentially at least, won a fucking Oscar.
Yes. Let me play the video. I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm just kidding, by the way.
I'll be right back. I have to use the little boy's room.
Thanks for
letting me use any little boys while you're there.
Ooh.
No. So is this the mannequin challenge, or are you guys just trying to get the best shot, huh?
Yeah. Even though it's choppy?
You can tell exactly what they're doing. They're holding totally still. Wait for it. This is so the photographers can get a really good.
Yeah.
So we're watching staging is what we're... Oh my God.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
That was amazing.
Your friend found the crowning achievement of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, these fuckers won an Oscar, man. Jesus Christ. We the West are such suckers.
Yeah, the White Helmets, the Revolutionary Forces of Syria.
See, it speaks because we want to believe these organizations are good and right and moral, and we tend to do that whole I'll piss people off when I say sheeple thing. It's that herd mentality, like we want to trust these authorities, we want to believe in them. So we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We blindly follow. And
we want to believe that there is hope is the greatest human gift, but it's also our greatest weakness. We want to believe that there are people there in Syria who care about the people and are redeemable, because otherwise what we're left with is a brutal dictator, murderous son of a bitch going to war against psychopathic, ideologically driven, murderous sons of bitches. And nobody wins in that. You know, whoever wins, the country loses. It's a horrible situation. And so you look at this and you go, wow, there's a ray of fucking sunshine. And nope, it's bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what really, really pissed me off, because the White Helmets were like supposed to be a humanitarian group, and it turns out they're literally just a bunch of propaganda. It is. I keep saying that word, but that's what it is.
Right.
It's demoralizing. It's utterly demoralizing.
The really famous picture was the little boy in the ambulance, and suddenly people started picking things out. It's like that. If they're in the middle of a war zone, that's the cleanest fucking ambulance I've ever seen.
Yeah, most advanced for a country like Syria.
Yeah.
They're in the fucking 15th century in most of that country.
I gotta say, like, I hate to keep harping back on religion, but like what you were saying with hope, it's been the same. The whole concept of heaven and hell. We do that to comfort ourselves. It's the whole reason that we started believing in religion and gods in the first place, was comfort. We want to know that there's something looking out for us. Just like we want to believe these things, because if we don't have that belief, a lot of people feel like we have nothing.
Yeah, religion self-hope.
Yeah. Fun fact, the Jewish religion has a vague notion of heaven. There isn't like an actual like heaven, and there is no hell.
There isn't.
It seems to me that you're spot on, that heaven is a comfort for an afterlife. Yes, yeah. Uncle Joe stopped moving, turned blue, and then slowly stunk and rotted away. However, just because his mortal body is gone, he is still somewhere, and you get to see him when you kick off. It gives us this false sense of security about the looming death. However, hell is simply a social control mechanism. Be good, or else you won't get to see Uncle Joe.
I mean, exists in Christianity. There was no hell. It was an invention that came in later.
Heaven and hell are both technically a social control, a social thing, because, I mean, think about it. If you don't abide by these rules that our society has declared as morals or whatever, you're not getting into heaven, you're going to hell, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all social control. You know, Indeed. Behave this way and you'll get this. Behave this way and you'll get that. And I mean, it's the same that it's the same now. It's just instead of hell, it's behave this way and you won't go to jail.
Right. To rein it back into the topic at hand, it seems to me that fake news is, and I hate to put on my tinfoil hat, but it seems to me that it is so directed that on the one hand you go, yes, it's great for ratings, but on the other hand, there's lots of shit that would be great for ratings. This seems directed to try and push a narrative and to influence a populace. And that scares the shit out of me, because who's pulling the strings? Soros? Does one man have that kind of power? Holy shit, hide me.
Put your tinfoil hat on, it's the Illuminati. Anyway.
Right. I mean, you really break it down. Yeah, exactly. When you really break it down, you have to be willing to say that, okay, then yeah, there's an Illuminati. If you're saying that CNN is directed in its message. Somebody is pulling the strings. And is it the CEO of CNN? Okay. Then why is MSNBC and CBS and almost all other mainstream media outlets parroting CNN? Because that's more than one CEO.
And the worst thing is, since they're the only ones parroting this thing, they can be like, "Oh, well, the other ones are just lying to you," and most folks won't even question it. Everyone else is just lying to you. Don't believe them. And which it kind of does parallel religion again, which is kind of starting to scare me a little bit more the more I think about it. Because, sorry. My brain went on a tangent. I don't know where it led me.
No, you're completely right. And I make the point that that CNN, the only reason why anyone believes CNN nowadays is because there was, as we talked about earlier, we look back with nostalgia on the Walter Cronkites. And we look back at the history of CNN and we go, this was the most trusted name in news. James Earl Jones told me so. And yet fast forward and they're so full of shit now, but we want to believe. We want them to be Walter Cronkite's alma mater. And they're not. Maybe they were, that's a fucking tinfoil hat. Maybe they were full of shit. That's awesome. Maybe they were full of shit all along, but only now is it coming to light because of the internet. Do you guys think that that's the case?
Yeah, that is absolutely the case. I got my tinfoil hat out because I literally wanted to go off on a bit of a, well, it's not really a conspiracy theory. Well, all right, fine, it's a conspiracy theory, but it's not an outrageous one. Yeah, they have been lying to us for quite some time, but with the internet out, I can talk to somebody in Syria and they'll be like, nah, dude, no, that's, and the reason there is the fake news narrative that is out right now is a direct result of people talking to each other and saying, no, that's a load of bullshit. And the language barrier is almost non-existent anymore, because if I want to talk to somebody in Syria and they speak to me in Farsi or Arabic or Urdu or whatever languages they speak, I can copy that text, paste it into a translator, and now we're talking. So, since we are now talking to each other, a lot of what they have been lying to us about has come to light. Now, are they lying to us about everything? I don't think so.
No. I mean, there's some things you can't lie about because, the numbers are right there.
Yeah, all right. This thing is stabbing me in the head, so I'm going to take it off now.
That was funny, though. Thank you. Okay.
That was great.
I'm going to mute myself and check out this clip.
Okay. Wait, which clip? Are we playing that for everyone?
She forgot she muted herself.
Oh, you muted yourself, silly. We can't hear you.
She's still talking.
I just gave our PR a wrench and told them to put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you, because
Fever?
I'm having technical difficulties.
P-Bear is here?
Huh?
I thought she said she gave P-Bear a wrench.
No, RPR.
Oh, RPR. Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say P-Bear is here? Fucking sweet.
Who's P-Bear?
Patriarchy Bear. He is hands down the funniest person on, in my opinion, he is hands down the funniest person on the internet.
So what would, sorry.
No. Please go ahead.
No, shill for him.
He just has a Twitter. He's at Patriarchy Bear. But he hangs out in stream chats. He hangs out with a lot of people. He is fucking hilarious and a really good dude. He is such a good dude. I got excited when I thought he was in the chat.
No worries. Send him a message. Now, what we'd like to do is every Sunday we're going to have these podcasts, and as we said earlier, we're going to get more bells and whistles as we go along. But I'd like to have different guests every week to talk about different topics every week.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to that. So hopefully we can get some of these folks on P-Bear and whatnot. I've met a lot of folks that do the Twitter and stream, but don't make like YouTube content. And I can see why. Streaming to me is a lot easier and more entertaining to have live conversations than to talk into a fucking microphone. That's incredibly difficult for me. And the editing sucks. I hate editing. It takes forever.
I actually like editing. The problem being Research. I don't like finding stuff to make videos about is so hard for me because like I have to look and see, all right, this fits in with the kind of stuff I want to make. And then I have to go and make sure it's a legit story and not a Poe or a fucking satire piece. And then I have to double check because I don't want to put anything out there that's not as confirmed as it can be.
Yeah. Good news is, yes, it's fake news. Bad news is Alex Jones is fucking talking over it.
Do you think that that's a bad thing? That and you know what? Let me ask the kind of wider question. And I feel this way. Has the left shifted so far left that now the fringe right wing is more centrist? Or has the fringe right wing actually shifted more centrist in line with the left obviously moving left? Because, obviously they've moved left.
Well, to be honest, that depends on how you define left and right wing because you can't be just talking about the economic left and economic right because that would have nothing to do with fake news.
Well, my concern is...
because there's still people out there saying capitalism is great, and there's still people out there saying that communism is great. So,
right. I'm somewhere kind of in the middle. I feel like everybody's like, oh, the left moved more left. I'm like, well, I didn't fucking go anywhere. So, yes? Yeah.
Right, see, that's my question. I'm concerned that I listened to Alex Jones, and he makes sense now, and I'm going, oh, my God, I'm a tinfoil hat wearer. Or has he moved? Have I moved and I didn't notice? It worries me because I don't want to wear a tinfoil hat. As stylish though it may be, I don't pull it off as well as you, Marty.
Well, my internet just decided to say nope.
Nope.org. Okay. Well, actually, we have gone on for just over an hour, and I was hoping to keep these to roughly an hour. So, I think this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you both very much for coming onto the stream. I look forward to doing more of these in the future, and you guys were definitely welcome back. Thorn, you got anything to say? And I'd like to give each of them a chance to sign off and tell everyone where to find them.
Go for it. Sign off. I'm just saying thank you to RPR in the chat.
Okay. Buttercup, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at IamButtercup123. My channel link is in my profile. It's in my bio. You can also search me on YouTube by just searching Buttercup W and looking for my avatar. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, thank you. And speaking of avatars, Butter, you had a really cool avatar the other day with some cupcakes on a countertop with some sticks of butter in it. Whatever happened to that? That artist was incredible.
You know, some spastic lion made it for me. I don't know.
Some lion.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Marty.
My avatar was made by some spastic autist who has no life and spends all of his time building stuff in 3D.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm going to send you a DM and see if you can make me a spastically autistic, three-dimensional.
I mean, I'm
make it cross-eyed, would you? Because
I'll make sure.
I don't have an avatar. It's just my face.
Yeah.
Well, you need an avatar.
Yeah. If you want to fit in with the cool kids, you need an avatar.
Go look up Max Bear. He'll probably get you one.
Stop pouring out Max Burr. Like the dude.
Okay, I think
Max Bear likes it.
Marty, sign off. Sign off, and we'll talk about avatars and the after chat.
All right, I am Marty Asphelius. You can find me on YouTube. The user, I don't use U's, I use V's as the Romans did. But you can find me on Twitter, and my channel's linked there. I am at Roman_not because I'm in hiding. Shh, don't tell anybody. And come and check out my stuff. I'm very free speech orientated.
Me too. I also have a YouTube channel. I've only been doing this for 3 weeks, but I do have a few videos. I'm Thorn Inside. You're already on my channel, so I don't know why I'm doing this.
I'm Logical Lion. I'm the co-host. My channel is obviously Logical Lion. I make videos. Yeah, and I'm also on Twitter. I think I'm like XX Logical Lion XX, but I think I'm the only active Logical Lion. So if you just do a search for Logical Lion, but
yeah, he'll be the only one that comes up because he's the only one that's active.
Yeah, cool. And I try and be funny on Twitter. When I do these streams, I actually try to stay pretty serious. I want to kind of do a Dave Rubin-esque, meaningful topics discussion. But on Twitter, I'm just a jackass. So
he thinks he's hilarious because he's always high. Anyway, bye.
True. Bye. Thanks for coming.